Howdy ho, good neighbors. What's going on? It's Phil Russert, as usual, with Philviews Tuesday night. We hope you had a great weekend. I hope you're getting ready for the Thanksgiving weekend. I just want to say I hope you all have a wonderful holiday with surrounded by loved ones, warmth and comfort, and Godzilla movies. Anyway, um, very excited tonight because we always talk about the mainstream and we talk about the big publishers, which is wonderful. We all grew up on them, we love them, but we often don't give enough credit to some of the great pioneers in the industry. And these are the people that went the independent route and made long lasting, well revered, and loved titles, characters, etc., all with their own creative genius, not the backing of big publishers, not the marketing machines that they have. And they really are an inspiration to us. It's the Eastmans and the Lairds and the Billy Tucci's and you know, Smith's for Bone, and I don't know, I'm thinking blank. Anyway, and tonight's guest is one of those pioneers who I had the great pleasure of meeting in person at Terrific Con, and him and his wife are just really lovely people, very, very nice, very gentle, very kind people, and he's just an amazing talent between his art and his writing. He's an independent legend to so many, and in 1996, he launched a title that all I can say is it helped continue putting the independent market on the map. And we really have to appreciate these creators because without them, I mean, we wouldn't have all these amazing characters. So without further ado, I've gone on long enough. I'd like to introduce to you from his own company, Abstract Studios, Eisner Award winner, creator, artist, writer of Strangers in Paradise, among other titles we're going to discuss, Terry Moore. Hey.
Hi. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. You read it just like I wrote it. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, it's sincere because you are to me the epitome of what this is all about. It's about creative passion, the drive to get it done yourself with humility. So very, very excited to have you on tonight. And your art, I mean, we could talk about your writing, we could talk about your art, and either way, we're going to talk about how great it was. So I'm just glad to have you on. I know Billy had you on last week, but I technically had you booked first.
Yes, you did.
Myron said Terry's work is fantastic. Love Echo. Excellent.
Thank you, Myron.
And we will discuss Echo. So for those who maybe are a few generations later after the 90s and they're just getting into comics or catching up, could you tell us a little about yourself, who you are, and your resume?
If I just stay to comic books, I started with my Strangers in Paradise, an indie title, and that ran for like 12 years, from 93 until like 2007. And after that, I did another series, a sci-fi. Strangers in Paradise is it looks like it's a relationship comic between two or three people, but it's also a crime drama. It's kind of like I don't know, a romance story meets James Bond. There's a lot of crime and stuff. After that, I did a sci-fi series called Echo, and that ran for 2 or 3 years. After that, I did a horror series called Rachel Rising, and that was a joy to make. I had a lot of characters, and came up with a couple that are still fan favorites. Every time I draw them, for a sketch, people like it. And then after that, I brought the Strangers in Paradise characters back for another story that went out in 2 different series called Strangers in Paradise 25 and 5 Years. It's all one big story, but it's 2 trade paperbacks. And then I did Serial, which is about one serial killer tracking down another serial killer. And the character is really from Rachel Rising. And after that, I did Parker Girls. One of the things in Strangers in Paradise is it had a dangerous group of people, and they were all women called Parker Girls. And in the story, I kept saying how badass they were. And then finally I thought I need to prove it. So I did a story just about them. And that was kind of like the last series I did about 3 years ago. I've been doing these Kickstarter books, waiting for you to show up and for Lunar to show up to fix my distribution problems. So that's where I am.
Well, we are certainly happy to be working with you and hope to bring you more success going forward as we grow. I mean, you have a vast independent library behind you, but before we get into that, you also have your stint at Marvel. You know, you did Runaways Volume 2, and you did the Peter Parker, Mary Jane book. Can you kind of tell us how it was, the differences between, I mean, obviously there are obvious differences where you have your creative control, but between the Marvel life of comics and the grind of being the independent guy on your own?
Yeah. I think the first thing that comes to mind was it was a lot easier to work for Marvel than it is to make an indie comic. Marvel wanted me to do one thing, either just write it or draw it. And gosh, that's just fun. That's just fanboy fun right there. So it was a joy. And they were wonderful to work with, and they didn't bust my chops or anything. I mean, they didn't beat the script to death or, pick the art to death. So whatever I was doing with them it was fun. I really enjoyed it. And I also worked for DC and a few things for Dark Horse, and same experience. They were all wonderful to work with. But I should say, I was working with them back when you knew who the people were,
Right.
before they became faceless big corporations. When I worked with them, DC was still in New York on the 12th floor of the building. And then Marvel had just moved out to LA, and, I knew Jim Lee and the core team that was running it.
Right.
Now I don't know anybody. It's like talking about IBM or Amazon.
Yeah, it has definitely become more corporate minded. There's no bullpen. There's, like, I would talk to Howard Mackey about stories, the way you guys, they would goof off and joke with each other. And they were just a bunch of big kids loving what they were doing. I mean, no, you weren't getting paid well, but the passion was there, right? The creative passion. They invested in these titles and these characters, which I think is sorely lacking today. Which is why I think independents are really what we should be looking at. I mean, the passion you put into your books, illustrating and writing, that's a big task. So being that you do both, do you write out a script and then draw it, or do you just start drawing and what's your process with that?
When I was doing the longer stories, I would write out a script, and I would use Final Draft and just put it in TV script mode.
Okay.
So if you were to look at one of my scripts from those days, it would look like a TV script where there's mostly character dialogue and then just minimal description. Kachu walks into the room, Francine's on the couch, talk, 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 talk. Freddie comes in, just simple.
Well, being that you're the artist, you would be able to know what the
Exactly.
background's going to be, what the emoting is going to be, etc. So
Yeah, I would already know in my head, okay, Kachu is wearing, a winter coat, and Francine has nothing on but a chocolate. She's covered in chocolate on the couch for no reason. I would know that. I don't have to describe it.
So what is your writing background? Like, did you formally get educated in writing, going to school for it? How did you come about being a writer? Because obviously, you're artistically brilliant, but you're also writing is brilliant. So,
no, I don't have any real college education. I went, one semester at a junior college, and then went straight into bar bands, and was just playing in cover bands.
what were you playing? What instrument?
Guitar.
Oh, I'm a drummer.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I love you because you're on beat. But yeah, I was always writing, it really started like around seventh grade when I started writing things down. And so I remember distinctly, like every time we got a chance to write anything creative in school, and by school, I mean high school,
Right.
um, I would get good marks and a comment from the teacher. There's a magic to your writing or something like that. And obviously it meant something because I still remember that today, 500 years later. So
Yeah.
the encouragement meant something. So I kept at it, and I filled tons of notebooks and journals, and I was always writing and drawing at the same time.
See, a lot of people disagree with me. I'm not trying to discredit anyone with formal education, but I do think that there is everything that we do in life. Obviously, there's the work you put into it, but I think there has to be this foundational talent, just a natural affinity for something that has to be nurtured and has to be refined. And I think that like the great writers had that natural affinity that was refined in some way, whether it was a formal education or like you, it was just through years of continually writing. And we're picking up things just reading other people without realizing we're absorbing that how to write the three acts or whatever the case may be, or we may not know the terminology that the scholars use, but we know good storytelling. We know how to set it up, get the characters involved, etc. So I actually love hearing that from you, because when you read your books, you would think you had, what people would consider formal education, which you do in a way because you kept writing and you write. But you know what I mean? Like there are people that study it greatly, and I love to hear that. That's really inspirational to us because you know if you have the passion and you put the time in and the diligence, there's a lot you can accomplish in comics. So
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I notice about people that took the path I took, where you're teaching yourself how to write or how to paint or how to draw. It goes without saying that you're not living in your own little world from day one. You do go through an apprenticeship process where that I'm still was a voracious reader. Like
right,
I read all of the Ian Fleming books when I was 13. I read all of the Conan Doyle books when I was 14 to 16. I read all of Agatha Christie before I was 20. I mean, I just loved the stories, and the the it inspires more ideas in a person with an imagination. It inspires your imagination, but it also shows you what's been done,
right,
so that I'm not the first person to come out with. I don't want to come out with a story with minimal punctuation and terse sentences and think I'm the very first time a Hemingway ever hit the planet.
right, right,
That's a mistake. So you need to go through you need to absorb and still educate yourself and read everything in the library and write and write and write. And I think one of the processes that a proper education can do is not only just show you what came before, but um, help you get so much of it you become sick of it and reject it,
right,
because you have to move on from your inspiration and get to the point where, okay, I've looked at all the Jeff Jones and Frazetta I can stand. Now I just need to make my own images, and Jeff and Frank are always going to be in my head, but I need to come up with a new way to draw a dragon or a new
right.
way to write a murder scene without tropes. And that's where you start launching with your own creative voice. And you couldn't get there if you hadn't eaten up everything that ever came before you as much as possible.
Right, as you're treating them as inspirations, not you're not becoming a facsimile. You're taking the inspiration of the ideas, the thoughts, and then you're creating something, a new, blossoming flower from that. And that's why I always tell people, a lot of people are too busy trying to come up with that new thing nobody's ever heard of before. And I'm like, that's very difficult in all these centuries of storytelling. It's more of, you can take something that's quote unquote kind of been touched on and give it a new spin or a new fresh idea. And it usually starts through the character, the character's take. So like the characters, for example, in Strangers in Paradise, what were there? Where was your inspiration for them? Like, are you taking it from yourself, your wife, people you know? What were the inspirations for those characters?
Gosh, they were just people and combinations of people that I had known growing up. And I, except without the sci-fi drama, I was kind of like the kids in Stranger Things, banana seat bikes and
Right.
big fields and play. So I knew people like that. And then when I was in bar bands, there was one girl that worked the bars at several of the clubs that we played, and she was exactly like Kachu, and she and we all admired her and respected her, and she's kind of that kind of person stuck with me. So I thought, what if you took the bartender girl, and then you put her with the girl next door at your parents' house who does the babysitting, with the ponytail. And what if those two got together? And when I was started thinking about that kind of story, I thought, and then you put in a guy as a third wheel, the triangle. I was thinking this is a whole lot like a Hollywood trope, love movie where you've got the alpha guy and the two different women choices. So I thought, what if you just miscast it and put the bartender girl as the alpha and the guy and the babysitter are the two betas, and then write that love story and give Kachu all the male dialogue. She's having these same talks and arguments and points that the guy would have. And it just sounds fresh just because it's coming from her. And it's a way of getting you to listen to it again without without tuning it out because it looks too familiar.
Right.
I was
Yeah.
thinking that, if we're looking at a story, whether we read it or watch it on the screen, if it's too familiar, if you think you've seen it before, you kind of give it half your attention until you see something you don't recognize, and then you're paying attention again, and then it goes
Right.
back into familiar, and you're kind of like, okay, well, let me know when something new comes up. Yeah.
Now, so do you have a preference of which you enjoy more at this point, the illustrative part or the writing part, or do you just equally love them both or in combination or?
It's man, it's like two of your favorite foods. You love them both, and they're so different. But writing is where you can build a world and build the characters that you love and can think about. You know, Drawing is where you can get to see them and you go visit them and see what they look like.
They bring them to the world, exactly, yeah.
You need them both. I see it all as one thing. I feel like it's like a singer-songwriter. Would you rather just write songs or would you like to play them too? And
Right.
you talk to Taylor Swift or Ed Sheeran, and they're going to say you can't separate the two. It's the same thing. I'm drawing what I write, and I've been doing that since I was, 6.
See, I'm glad that you said that because I really hate when I see these battles of writers saying they're more important, artists saying they're more. I'm like, this is a visual medium, but you have to have something to visualize. So they're both equally important. You can't have one without the other. And I agree with you. I can't draw. I don't have the patience for drawing. It takes a lot of discipline to draw. Writing has its own discipline as well, but artistry can be a little laborious at times, doing backgrounds and couches and cars and stuff, and not everything is always flash and bang. So I respect artists that can really grind and sit down and put in that time because it is a labor of love you have to crank your neck and your back and be leaning over a table every day. I remember when my first meeting with your wife, and you were there cranking away drawing because you had a lot on your plate, and you look over and you'd say something because you were listening to the conversation, but you're working, you're doing what you got to do. So I always found that fascinating. as a friend of Scott Hanna's, he would always, like, this is a guy who does like 3 books a day. I mean, a week, and just listening to him and what it really takes to focus. Do you have a favorite cover you've done, or is it like having kids? You like one or two and the rest are meh?
There were a couple of covers in Strangers in Paradise that I really adored. One of them was really a lift from a fashion magazine. I had back in the 80s, there were magazines where you could buy your clothes and pick out your clothes and things like that before the internet. And so you get these big, beautiful pages, slick pages of a gorgeous photograph. And one of them was this lady all wrapped in winter clothes, and she was crouched down in kind of a Spider-Man pose. And I pulled that sheet out and kept it. And back in those days, an artist would have, what do you call it? Tear sheets or something like that. There was a word for it, where artists would pull the picture out of the magazine and keep them in folders, and you'd use that for inspiration or reference. Just like now, if you're on the internet, you'll grab a picture and save it.
Right.
God, everything's so physical back then. Anyway, that picture ended up being that pose, one of the Strangers in Paradise covers. And the colorist who did that, I think it was Pat Duke, back then, he did such a beautiful job that I fell in love with it. And I thought, God, I'm so proud of that. And then there was another one. The first time I ever used colorist Brian Miller, I sent him a cover to Strangers in Paradise. And when he sent it back to me, he had colored it so brilliantly that it took it to a whole new level. Let's see if I can find these for you right here.
Sure.
Because this is kind of like a put up or shut up moment. Like, okay, prove it, Terry.
And there are your guitars. Nice.
They're right here. Okay, so this shelf here is all the Strangers in Paradise that you guys need to order from Phil. And then here's all the other series, Echo, Rachel Rising.
And we have those too.
All of this. Okay.
And while he's looking for that, I do have to say this. One of the things about your art is your pencils, they're very clean and tight, but there's a softness about your art. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That is really appealing.
That's because I went through a big phase of loving the 1940s and 50s good girl illustrators like Gil Elvgren and all those guys. So, I love that kind of art, and I still strive for it to this day.
Very cool.
Okay, where is this other one?
And just so everybody knows, there's 62 hours left, and we're going to get into this. There is a current Kickstarter campaign by Terry Moore right now on how to draw 2026, lessons for the new artist and the seasoned veteran. We're going to go over that tonight in the hour, but I just want to let you know that is available to go check out and pledge.
Okay, guys. Here is there's the cover I was talking about from the model pose.
Nice.
And the model really pretty much looked like that, except for I made the kachoo with the hair and all that. I don't know. It's very 80s. You can see the MTV stuff going on. So that was the first cover I got that was better than I had done before. And it kind of set a new bar for me. And I loved it. And then the first time I used Brian Miller, he sent back this. And
wow.
It really got my attention. This was issue 31.
31, yeah.
And Veronica is just crazy and wicked, and it was just perfect for her. And you can imagine that the glows and all that were not there. It was just a black and white thing. It looked like I was drawing Black Widow or something. And then Brian is the one who put in the glow and the life to it.
So if you could point to what you think was your penultimate piece of art that you felt like really showcased your best and brightest of your talent? What can you pinpoint it to? I know probably maybe a couple, but one point in your life or what you would say. And the
Yeah,
same question for writing.
yeah. The art that I'll always remember, and I kicked myself for selling it. I guess what you're saying is, which page did you regret selling? Because I always sold my art. I wanted it dispersed into the world because every time I read an artist's biography, there was always a chapter about the studio fire. So, uh, so no studio fire for me. I want my art out there. Um, yeah, back over here to the library real quick, and I'll show you this. Where was it? I did a thing where Darcy and her brother were out walking, and I couldn't. They were in her yard, but it's a yard in Holmby Hills in L.A., and I really wanted it to be decadent, to show how powerful and wealthy she was. And it's funny because what I'm talking about is issue 8, I think, of Strangers in Paradise when it was with Homage. And I drew this cover. I was running late, and I drew that cover on the plane coming back from San Diego Comic-Con that year. So
Never
we
know
had
how you draw on a plane with all the movement. I don't know how you guys do it.
that's why it's all leaves, because you can't mess it up. That's the reason why. Otherwise, I normally would have drawn that, but yeah. Okay, so you turn the page, and there's David and Darcy walking through by the pool. And the way the panels work, you can
Yeah,
see where Kachu is watching them, and you zoom out of the panels, and then you see everybody else and the talking and all that.
so creative.
I just
Wow.
like the layout of it and all that. And then as she's telling David, she's a nut job, a narcissist nut job, and she's explaining her vision of the world to her very good natured, good guy brother. And at the end, she's so decadent, she's looking at the pool and thinking, do you think the pool's too green? So when that issue came out, a guy was criticizing the issue because it was no longer about Francine and Kachu in a house arguing about will they, won't they? And he was saying, yes, the pool is too green, Terry. You need to get back on track. Good times.
And that's funny because that leads into something I was going to ask a little later. How, being an independent creator, these are your babies. You're putting them out there. You're not putting out someone else's character, which is already gets scrutinized through the teeth. Thor or whatever. But here you are. Not only are you really exposing yourself as the artist, the writer, and your skill level and your talent, but your creations. How have you dealt? I mean, all I ever hear is wonderful things about Strangers in Paradise, but we're in a world where somebody's always got something to say. I mean, how have you navigated and dealt with that and handled that? Like, do you take it constructively? Do you just you take it with a grain of salt, or who it's coming from, or have you really experienced it all?
It's always there. Yeah. There were people who hated the Beatles.
Right,
Just so you
exactly.
know it.
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
it doesn't matter who you are. People hated Einstein. People hated Jesus. You can come up with anything. The cure for
Right,
cancer will have a critic.
right.
So it doesn't matter. You just have to know that. And what you have to do is focus on, when you put a book out there, and if anybody responds, and it's sort of like forming a book club. So now they only are talking to you because they really like Kachu and Francine, the characters, or the
Right.
characters in the book. And that's what it's all about. So it's difficult to, if they're criticizing the story or the characters, like one person, I remember one person saying, I tried to read the book, and the first few pages, and that Kachu character wakes up and pulls out a gun and shoots the alarm clock when it rings. He said, I don't like that person. I don't want to read about these people. I said, okay, you're not in my
Right.
club.
And how about give it a try first, get to
I
know the
get that.
character and their motivations. Yeah.
He's never going to think, Kachu is funny. So you let it go, it's funny, especially when we talk about the comic book series. I pretty much was able to separate my shy self from what the important thing was, and the important thing was the book. And I really believed in the book, so I just kept promoting it and stood by it. And the only time, it's strange, but once in a while, criticism will get through. Like one time for a while, I was doing a comic strip about this fairy named Kixie, and I had designed my own fairy look. There's like different ways to draw dogs, cartoon dogs, and different ways to draw cartoon fairies. And I'd come up with a real cute one that was kind of looked like a little girl, and she was very flippant and everything. And she was fun to write because I like the Peanuts aspect of it, the wholesomeness of it.
Right.
And then I saw a comment from a guy who didn't know me from Adam, but he saw the fairy drawing, and he said, what kind of guy draws a fairy?
They will find anything to complain about.
And my first instinct was, to throw my hat off, and come here. Come here.
And you're a calm guy, so yeah.
I know I'm a calm guy, but I was like, oh man, geez. And but it did that one stung, and it kind of took the fun out of it. And I thought, well, maybe the world has changed, and it doesn't think, if maybe you couldn't put Peanuts out today. So
I don't know. See, me, I'm a believer in everything's cyclical and it comes back eventually. And you know what? I hate to say this, but fandom is often susceptible to suggestion. Like you tell them what the hot thing is and they start believing it. So I say just put out whatever the hell you want, and they'll either come around or they won't, but at least I love what I'm doing and I enjoy it and we go on. I mean, obviously we have to be able to afford it, but so what is it, because you're an artist you decided not to do this as a prose book and you wanted to have the visual storytelling? Because comics are so freaking hard. Like there had to be a part of you that said, I'm sure I'm going to be spending a lot more money and time making this a comic than I would be if I just did a prose series.
Oh man, you're so right. Because the Strangers in Paradise ended up being over 2,000 pages long. That's 2,000 drawn pages, and every one of them looked different they all look different. And imagine how many books I could have put out if I was putting out like three to 400 page pop fiction books. I could put out one a year. I would have had like 13 or 15 of them by now, just like all the Barnes and Noble writers, and probably would have done better. But I love being able to see them. And I love being able to do the expressions and all that. And I think, reading a book is more like listening to an audio book. I mean, you're just getting one aspect of the imagery. And because I grew up loving movies and TV, I could see them. And I wanted to let you know what they look like too. But I did use prose in the story. There are entire pages of prose in Strangers in Paradise where there is really nothing great to look at. So I switched to, here we are in the novel, it's page 830. And for the next 3 pages, we're going to be descriptive like a novel and tell you how they got from one city to the next. And then we pick up when there's something to look at again, Or if there's a song that they're listening to on the radio, I put the music in there and it's an original song from my band days. Or if there's poetry, like there's a book of poems that they all read that was influential in high school, and it's just stuff that I made up. So I made up that whole little world building thing there.
Yeah, I've always said comics to me are the greatest pop culture medium in the world because studies show the more senses you use for something, the more you're going to absorb it, appreciate it, delve into it, enjoy it, and look at how many senses you use for comics. You use touch, you use, visual and the literary part of it, the art part of it, the colors, or whatever the case may be, or even just the line detail in black and white. You use a lot of your senses, and I do think that and that's why I could never get into digital. There's something about just holding the book. You're smelling the book. Who doesn't love the smell of a new book, right? So there's another sense that you're possibly using. So, and one of the things I love about black and white books is it doesn't have the gloss on it, so you smell the paper. Like I know that sounds silly, but like you would smell a prose book, you can smell a black and white comic. You know what I mean? It's just paper and ink, and I love that smell.
It's the same thing with, like, if you love horses, there are these wonderful strong smells associated with that world. If you like firearms, you love the smell of gun oil or
Right.
whatever, gunpowder. It's tactile, sensory stuff.
Yes.
And I to this day I continue to make my everything on paper because at the end of the day, if it worked, I have a piece of original art in my hand,
Right.
and that's so much more valuable to me than a JPEG. It would be
Sure.
it would be so much faster to work on Procreate, where you can fix your mistakes just like grab, move,
Right.
done. And it is faster. It's more convenient. But at the end of the day, you have a JPEG. You have something
Right.
people are going to scroll.
And you're also missing a secondary market just selling your art, which is another revenue stream if you want to look at it in a business aspect. But just from a creator aspect, it's like you said, you want to get your art out there to everyone. You know, it's also a piece of history. I mean, Strangers in Paradise has it undeniably put itself in its own special place of history in comics and in pop culture. So there are people proudly framing your pages on their wall, knowing that it's a piece of history, like Frazetta was, and I mean, there's museums for this stuff. So it is history, and you miss that when it's not on the physical page. So I agree with you absolutely. Um, I'm afraid to share the page, the catalog, because I don't know if it's going to make you go all wonky, because StreamYard's been really bad lately with that. But I want to talk about the solicitations in our catalog and then get to your Kickstarter. Obviously, we have Strangers in Paradise. The first, was it 3 volumes or 4 volumes in there? The 4 volumes, omnibus volumes in there. We have Echo. We have Rachel Rising. We have quite a few things. We also have Trigger Warning. So if you want to give us, most people know who you are, but maybe they're new to comics, or maybe they're not. I've always heard about Strangers in Paradise, but I don't really know what it's about, or whatever the case may be. Starting with Strangers, let's give them a little synopsis of what's available in the catalog and why they want to tell their retail to pick it up.
Yeah. Strangers in Paradise is a long-running series that follows the lives of Francine and Kachu, 2 girls who are opposite, very opposite, like I described earlier. They meet in high school, and then one of them goes away and shows back up in her 20s, and they reconnect in their 20s. And the one who went away, Kachu, went and had a wild, very bad experience in LA. So now she has a past and she's trying to hide from it. And so that introduces the crime element of the story. So there's 2 aspects to the story where it's Francine and Kachu and their relationship over the years. You follow these 2 as they get older into their 30s. And then there's the crime aspect that Kachu cannot get rid of. So it really is. I wanted to write a love story, but I'm a guy and I need things to happen. I don't want to talk about relationship all day. I want a car chase somewhere. So yeah, it's got a lot of action in it. That lady
Which
right there.
makes you fundamental in getting more females into reading comics, though, because this had the best of both worlds for the men who wanted the crime drama, the action, and women who like a little more romance and still like crime drama and action. So, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and these are 484-page omnibuses, guys.
Mm-hmm.
The 4 volumes. We have hardcover and the soft cover. So you have the options here, and you can tell your retailer, tell your local store that you want these. If for whatever reason they are not signed up with Philbo, tell them to sign up. If for whatever reason they aren't signing up with Philbo, reach out to me directly. I have other retailers that we could work with you that do mail order, etc., and that you can get these books. If you live in a state that maybe you don't have a comic store for 50 miles, reach out to us. We will work with you. We want these beautiful, wonderful stories out there for everybody to enjoy.
Are we willing to do airdrops from an airplane if they're out in
Yeah,
the middle of nowhere?
I'm working on the air on the pilot right now.
Okay.
You just got to be able to catch really. No, I'm just kidding, because we couldn't afford parachutes. But by the way, your wife is just a wonderful person and obviously very smart. She said to me, we made sure that we got Abstract Studios, so knowing that all catalogs are alphabetized, we want to be at the top,
Uh-huh.
A B. But
Yeah.
she should have done a Abstract Studio. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
A
you're A.
abstract studio. The only people that got ahead of me was Aardvark.
There you go. Tell us about trigger warning.
Trigger warning. So, Strangers in Paradise, the series ran for a while and then ended in the 2000s. Well, er, last year I did a Kickstarter and I thought it'd be fun to do another one shot Strangers in Paradise story. So, what I did was I did Kachu and Francine, but it's the 1800s. And if they were born in the 1800s, would they still find each other? So I did a really fun story about Kachu as a gunslinger traveling through a small town, and the lady running the boarding house is Francine. And first thing Kachu has to deal with is Billy the Kid. So, yeah. Again,
Nice.
we're not going straight to the boarding house and getting a meal. We're going to go straight to the saloon and meet with Billy the Kid, who is really upset, and trouble ensues.
Awesome. And this is a 32-page book. So
Hmm.
if you want to jump on board and get a really nice related story, again, you're getting the whole universe here.
Yeah.
And then we got a lot in the catalog. We are proud to have you with us.
The
We
hearts and the
appreciate you being with
covers and
us.
softs.
Yep. And we have
Echo.
Echo.
Okay, after Strangers in Paradise, I wanted to do something completely different. So I did a science fiction story. This is my sci-fi story. And the basic idea was, what if the lady that you see on cover there, what if something happened and she became in possession of the new deadliest bomb? And once she realizes it's a bomb, do we trust her to have it more than the government? Who should have it, her or the government? And she makes the decision that she can't trust the government with it because the first thing they want to do is test it. And of course, if they test it, it'll be worse than the Tsar bomb. It will set the atmosphere on fire. And so she runs, and now it's a chase story. So it's a sci-fi chase story, and she's got this wicked stuff on her. It's pretty cool. I would love to see this movie.
Have you ever shopped it to try to get it licensed?
Yes. I've certainly told people when they talk to me about strangers or Rachel, I always say, and I have others too, like Echo, you know, but
Very cool.
everything has to wait its turn.
Of course. And it's a grind. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. The prices, your cover prices are really, really affordable for readers. I mean, this is a 632-page book, and it's the complete edition. And we're looking at $40. So, I mean,
Hmm.
in a day where prices have gone skyrocketing, this is a great way to get entertainment. 632 pages, guys, for a really affordable price. Tell your retailer to invest in these books. You want them in your pull list. Remember, you have the power. If 5 of you go into your retailer and say, I want Echo, I want Strangers in Paradise, I want Rachel Rising, etc., well, then they're going to order those 5 plus extras for the shelf. They want to know that they're going to sell these books. They want to know that people are interested. So um, you got to go out there and show your support and tell the retailers to get them. And if you were following along through the years, okay, but now you have these collected volumes. You can put those books safely bagged and boarded away, and you can get the omnibus, and that's what you can crack open and enjoy and read without worrying about the original books. I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly. And the way things work now in the retail world, things are so tight that you pretty much, unless it's something from the big 4 or 5 publishers, if it's something else, you really need to let your store know, I want that, so that they will order it. You can't just walk into the store and expect to find it.
right. Charles, yes, sir, it is.
Yes, it is. I'll prove it to you, Charles. I'll grab a copy. Oh. So here's the book that you're going to get. It's really heavy. You can use it to throw it at the cat on the fence if you want. Whoops, sorry. Explosion in the sky rains down all these silver mercury looking pellets. They get all over Julie. They will not come off. And she goes home, doesn't know what's going on. The stuff will not come off. And she's down on her luck person, living out in, a national park somewhere. And it starts growing on her. Eventually, by the end of the story, it's going to completely cover her. These are the guys that made the stuff. They want it back. And they're not very nice about it. So the park ranger, Dylan, is trying to help her. And once her husband, estranged husband, doesn't understand, the team that's looking for her, and now the chase story is on. One of the problems is that it also got on a crazy man in the desert. And he's not as balanced and well think and thoughtful as her. And so there's a lot of things where really good action scenes, and because I like Tarantino movies too.
Nice.
So yeah, it's kind of like a movie for me. I was just drawing a movie, and this is like my storyboard for the movie. And
Nice.
but yeah, there you go. My favorite character in here, I'll share it with you. There's a Chinese scientist who's brilliant. Unfortunately, he's working for the wrong people in this one, and he kind of gets in the way. And there's an explosion in the lab, and it blows the bottom of his jaw off. And through weirdo getting super hyped up on medicine and all that, he manages to keep going and survive without the bottom jaw, and it's just a mess down there. It was really fun to draw. It was like a Frankenstein thing, to draw it. And the other thing was that it all is leading to a collider in Alaska, a secret collider underground, 26-mile ring. And they're going to put this stuff in that collider and test it. And of course, everybody except for the core science team knows that if they do that, we're doomed. So they're all merging to Alaska to stop it. And once we got to that location, I had to draw the collider, and I drew an actual collider, and it took me like 2 days to draw that. So,
And with doing your art, I mean, how much time is spent on references, because you're
mm,
dealing in different worlds. I mean, not just like a world here with sci-fi, but you might be going into a realm that you're not familiar with, and that we don't know everything about everything. So how much time do you spend on referencing?
um, I spent years and years and years. Um, here's Jawless again.
Hang on, let me
That's
put that
cool.
up there.
Um,
Nice.
and he's using one of those uh, more thing in your throat to talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's using one
Vocal
of those.
modulator. Yeah.
I would love to see this guy on screen, and now with CGI we could do him. Um, yeah, my whole life I was always interested in physics and science. I'm not a scientist person. I'm not a physicist. I'm just a fan. And so when I read stuff, um, my imagination, it kicks my imagination in. So I took that tact with this, where this is basically, uh, I was young. I'm old enough to remember when they banned nuclear testing because they scared themselves with the Tsar bomb, and they were
Right.
afraid if we can't be testing things like hydrogen bombs and bigger because we really might set the atmosphere on fire. We can upset our ecosystem very bad. So um, that stuck with me all my life. And then once I started learning more about how much testing we have done and things like that, it was just easy to think about, okay, well, put that with liquid synergetic alloy, and if it combined with a person, but it has that all that power in it, the power of a star
Right.
in each molecule. Um, yeah, it was easy leap, and I just used faux science to get me there. And
Yeah.
when I had a scientist who did a little exposition in the middle of the story, talking about what a dream it was and it all went wrong, um, I have met a lot of different people that used to live in the Bay Area and work in the sciences or biotech and all that. So I just knew that kind of person. I'm
Right.
not that person, but I just sat and listened to them for hours, and I knew how to write them and draw them.
Yeah. I mean, as a writer, I draw from all the people I meet. I mean, every day is a character study, right? I mean, you're running into so many different personalities. But at the core of things, most humans have very similar ways that they behave or respond to certain stimuli, etc., with minor nuances. So yeah, every day is a character study, just being
Yeah, I
alive and
put it
out there.
like I describe it like the artist is the one who stares. The artist is the one who stares at you. The writer is the one who listens to you.
Right.
Because even if what you're saying is bullshit, I will let you finish your sentence in case you say something new. Or maybe I just want to know how to write bullshit.
So that's why you listen to me.
Every word. I'm writing it all down, man.
That's Terrificon. You said, no, I'm interested. Tell me what you were saying. That's why. Okay. You
Yeah,
wanted to
tell
know
me
how to
more,
write
Phil. Tell me
bullshit.
more.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So we've got Motor Girl, which is 112 pages. Tell us about that.
Ah, that started with a drawing of a attractive young lady in a dirty uh, t-shirt and fatigues with uh, a blowtorch, a welding torch,
Right.
and she was standing in front of a gas station. And I don't know, it just came out of the nowhere. And I showed it to Brian Miller, who was coloring me at the time, and he said, "Dude, if you did a comic with a girl and a gorilla and a motorcycle, every guy on the planet would read it." So I
Okay.
began to think about it, and I was between series, and I thought, okay, now why is the gorilla there? And then I came up with this thing of the invisible friend from PTSD. So, the stories like Harvey with the giant rabbit, the movie,
Hmm.
and Calvin and Hobbes and all that.
Right.
So, she's a veteran with PTSD from the war zones, and she comes back to America, and she's working at a junkyard in the desert, and she's got her invisible friend, the gorilla Mike, and they're talking. And Mike is the way we know what's going on in Sam's head. Her name is Samantha. And you would think that that would be enough, but there's a lot of UFOs out there, and one of them crashes, and we get to meet that little guy on her shoulder, Bick, Bick and Beat, and they had so many fans that I even have Bick and Beat dolls that were made for me, crocheted and made for me. And
Oh, that's cool.
That's very cool. They're up here, but they're adorable. And my premise was, why is it always when the aliens land in the UFOs, they're always bad? What if they're really nice?
Right.
And what if they're just, maybe not that bright and they crashed here by accident and they're really, really sorry. So I don't know. There's some levity there.
That's because the male alien didn't want to ask for directions, so they got lost and they were.
Well, it's two males, yin and yang. They do not get along, and they're not listening to each other clearly. So yeah, there's a really funny scene where you don't even have to understand what they're saying, but you can understand the body language where they crash and the little door opens and Bick stumbles out dizzy, and Beat walks up behind him, kicks him in the butt, knocks him 6 feet down into the ground, and he's laying there on the ground, and Beat starts yelling at him, beep, 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 beep. And you can tell that they've been arguing all the way down to the crash. So
like the Odd Couple of Aliens.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It sounds like a comedy book, but it's actually very touching because of the PTSD and the story behind it. And I think these characters help her kind of work it all out.
It's funny because everybody talks about how Tom King introduced PTSD into comics and this and that, or did a big focus. But there are stories out there, PTSD, that are like really hit home. As someone who my life is very revolved around PTSD, whether it was my father or what was given to me, there are people walking around every day that you have no idea what that does to them or what they're dealing with. The sleepless nights, the uncontrolled anger and rage that they try to deal with. Just the way they react to a simple situation, a noise or a behavior that seemed like nothing to you, but it triggered them. It's one of those things that doesn't really get enough recognition or talked about. And to be honest with you, I have not read Motor Girl, but now I'm going to have to buy one of the copies of the inventory I have because I'm very, very interested in that.
Well,
there are nuances to PTSD that people don't understand or they won't know. Yeah.
When I was a kid, all the movies and TV shows were, and all the old men that I met, all the mature people that I met, they're all World War II vets. And so I grew up with World War II people. And then when I hit my young teen years, Vietnam happened. So it was hard enough, the PTSD stories that we had in the 50s and 60s, it was hard enough to deal with PTSD when you knew we had to go out there and do that. We were really and literally trying to save the world. But then when the Vietnam War and then all these military actions happened, people were coming back. My peers, people I went to school with were coming back going, why did we do that?
Yeah.
It's that's not the same thing as World War II. Why did we do that? And nobody could ever wrap their heads around it. And it got worse and worse as the decades went by. So there's, I don't know, people, people on this, when they're standing here in Houston, Texas, war seems like a noble cause, but when you go across to the other side of the world and you see what you're really doing, it's hard to believe you're on the same planet. And then you finish your tour and you come back here and you're standing in a Chick-fil-A and people's biggest problem is what size is their shake. And you
Right.
think, this is so fucked up. And,
Yep. And
it's,
just finding where you belong in the world of quote unquote normalcy um, is very difficult. Like my father, the thing with World War II is we understood why we were there fighting, like you said, and there was a certain heroism attached to everything. Vietnam, we don't know why we were there, shouldn't have been there, but then the soldiers who were drafted and really didn't have a choice were treated like villains when they got home, which was enough they were already dealing with what the death, the violence, just the environment, the jungle, 3-foot friggin' mosquitoes, all that gear. Stories that my father told me towards the end of his life, this isn't a movie. This is what this person actually lived through. And it's miraculous that some of them come. Like my dad was never a drug addict or an alcoholic. He was a provider. He had his anger issues. He had PTSD and things. But I mean, some of the stuff he told me, I just don't know how. And then, like you said, you walk away going, why did we even do that? There wasn't even a reason. Why did I watch my friends die? And why did I get, why was I, he got a Purple Heart for taking shrapnel. Why? And then you come home, you're vilified, and then you don't know where you fit because you're a stranger in a strange land. And you're not the person you were when you left. You were a 17-year-old kid who didn't know shit about shit. And now you've experienced the worst of what the world can offer you.
yeah.
And you're supposed to just pick up everything and act normal like it never happened.
Yeah.
And live among people that don't know what happened and will never understand it here or here. And again, it went undetected for so long. So I think it's wonderful when you write stories like this about PTSD. And
I certainly heard from a lot of vets and people that could relate. And well, they all said thank you for the story, that it helped. It helped.
and,
Yeah, I think one of the things that one of the things you're describing too is you feel separated from society, and you
mm-hmm,
don't feel seen anymore, seen correctly, seen
mm-hmm,
accurately. That there's more to me than just me standing here at the kitchen table. There's much more to see, and they don't look at it. So I think knowing that having a story out there like this lets people know you're not the only one, staring at the stars at night, wondering why you're on this rock. So
right. Well, I'm you got me. I'm going to buy one. So
I'll
when you
sell
get
to you
your
half price.
when you get your PO, you're going to have one added on
Okay.
there. I'm very excited about that. And I said it at the top. We're going to get into your Kickstarter before we end everything. But I sincerely mean this. I didn't meet you until this year. Thanks to Steve Leaf, actually, I will give him thanks to him. And I have the pleasure of working with you now. But I never met you or your wife. But I sincerely mean this. As someone who's working so hard to try to get my books out there, to be taken seriously, to get in the world of comics, you are one. Everybody talks about Eastman and stuff, but you are one of those inspirations that you did it. You did it. You did it well. You did it with integrity and humility, and you did it. And it just gives hope to a guy like me that I can do it. It'll happen, or it can happen. Obviously my book has to be good enough, but the fact is you I don't think guys like you or Jeff Smith or Dave Sim, you get enough credit for what you've accomplished because you were the David against Goliath. You didn't have the marketing machines or the IPs. You started from scratch. And I really think that's something people should commend. I'm not I'm not here to kiss ass. I'm just serious. There's a great deep respect for what you guys have done. Um, you're the forefathers of the independent scene. We had Mike Barron on recently with Nexus, and he's done Badger. And I mean, you guys put indie on the map. And you gave us out of the box fresh new stories, and I don't think you guys get talked enough about it. So
Well, thank you.
yeah, I sincerely, I mean that, and it's also nice when you meet the person that they're not a dick. So
I can be a dick. Ask me about Gwen Stacy. Punch that button.
well, you've always been a very kind, soft-spoken person so far to me, and your wife has been lovely. So I don't know if you have a bad side. I don't want to see it.
Let's don't mention the Gwen Stacy thing anymore.
Yeah. I'll be at a convention, and if anybody even says Gwen, I'll be behind you like this.
So thank you very much, Phil. I think the 90s and the 2000s were a fantastic time to show up in the comic book industry, and it was just good timing, and we were all very motivated, and we had a great time. And the people were wonderful. There was a big readership, and it was a great time.
Yeah, I mean, I tell Billy all the time the same thing I say to you. I mean, I live a few blocks from Billy. We've become friends, but when I first met him, I was like, "Holy cow, that's Billy Tucci, the guy who did She." I met him at a Subway sandwich shop, around a corner from my house, and he's another one. He always says he just caught lightning in a bottle. He's humble about it. He doesn't have an ego, and he's just a good guy. And just to look at what you guys have accomplished is insane. I mean, it's just it really is truly a great feat. And that's why we're going to get into your Kickstarter now. I want everybody to look at it. And that's the other thing. Guys like Billy, I mean, he co-writes and stuff, but I mean, you're doing it all. You're drawing at an extremely high level. You're writing at a high level. You're creating at a high level. You're doing the publishing. First of all, kudos to your wife for putting up with that. Because that's a lot.
I know.
That's
and
a lot.
She's got the business brain. I mean, I'm a flake. So she's the reason I'm still here is her.
Well, that's funny because Billy has Debbie. I mean,
and Jeff has Vijaya, and I mean, it just
and
kind
Brian
of works that
Polito,
way.
right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Brian's a smart businessman too, but his wife is very sharp too. So.
Yeah, and we all get together as couples when we're all at the con, and it's obvious, who the bosses are at that table.
Well, I always say smart men marry up.
Yeah, that's true. They always marry up. The thing about doing the indie comics, it is true that I did it all, like write, draw, self-publish, but that was a deliberate decision because of my failures previous to comics. I mentioned the music stuff. Well, when I was in my musicians era, my phase in my teens and 20s, I was always in cover bands. So I was always playing other people's stuff, and cover bands have no future.
Right.
So it was easy money. We worked every weekend, but you're not, developing a new original band.
Right.
So I finally had to stop living in bars and do something else to have a family. And then when I got a chance in comics, I remembered that. And that if I went to Marvel and DC and started drawing Batman and Superman, it'd be a lot like being in a cover band. I'm playing other people's stuff, other people's characters, writing their stories, and they're telling me what to do with it. As opposed to be that singer-songwriter who believes in themselves and just, it's all or nothing. Either my song works or just forget it. And so the second time I got a chance at a creative industry, I decided to go with indie comics because of cover bands. I actually made a YouTube video about it and posted it last weekend on my YouTube channel.
Tell everybody what the YouTube channel is. You can drop it in the chat if you'd like the link.
It's just Terry Moore Art on YouTube.
Okay.
And
Very
I
cool.
explained, how they're connected for me and you know, why it worked for me and how I made it work. But I think, it would work for anybody. And I think, Phil, the same mindset works for you. You've already got the same mindset. You're doing it and you're letting everybody know exactly what you want. And the world has a way of helping people along when you tell people what you want. They say, "Oh,
Well,
I
I
can
can use the
help."
help.
I know somebody that you should talk to. I know somebody, and people pass you along until you get it. So
Right.
yeah.
Well, I could use the help, so feel free to tell whoever you want to tell.
Well, and this, a live stream like this is like a waterfall effect. You say it once, and 5 people will repeat it, just other
Right.
people. And but then it's like a telephone game. By the time it gets to the end of the line, they'll think what you wanted was a sandwich.
Right.
So you have to keep saying it.
That's funny. But segueing over to your art, you have a campaign that's live right now, and I saw the money went up. We just had another pledge. You had another pledge. You have 61 hours to go.
Mm,
Terry Moore's How to Draw 2026.
hmm
This is wonderful for our new artists and seasoned veterans. So tell us a little about the campaign, and then if you want, I could play the trailer, and we'll just go through it and take a look.
Yeah. Oh,
And
look,
there you
there's the
go. There's the
magazine
art.
cover.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is not a book about how to draw the Loomis method and shade a circle. This is more like you already know how to draw, but you've hit a plateau. How do you get beyond it? And it goes back to what we were talking about, like in writing, where you feed your mind and then you launch from there to be original. So I'm trying to talk to you about not just like
Yeah.
how you draw, but why you're drawing it, and how to draw without models, so that you can use your imagination more.
That's the toughest part. Like my wife
Yeah,
has problems with that. By the way, here's the scene you were talking about.
that's the scene I was talking about. Yeah, where they're arguing about why they crashed. You don't even need to understand them, but you know what's exactly what they're doing.
Right. And that's the great part about the art when you know what you're doing with sequential work.
There's even a chapter in here on, if you're a cartoonist, about how to draw funny. And the greatest lesson, well, this page here is from the chapter on timing, how to draw timing in a comic book. That middle panel there, you are providing the timing, whether it takes 5 seconds for that beam light to go past, and then she wakes up after it's passed. You provide the timing, and all you need is a visual cue, and it'll work. So,
And I'm sorry I got away from it. You were talking about also to draw a funny cartoon.
in the funny thing, the funny chapter starts off with a quote from Charles Schulz: "Winning isn't funny. There's nothing funny about a winner." So that's why Charlie Brown was a loser and all that. And
Right.
this little page is an example. This is one of those pages where it really makes you like Little Bick, because he's not, he's not Galactus.
Right. He's the underdog. He's the little guy.
There's Galactus is not funny. Bick is funny.
That's wow, look at that. And look at the different art styles. That's what's amazing.
There's a chapter on Art Nouveau. I've been going through like I've discovered Art Nouveau when we were all in high school, and you had the Job cigarette papers to roll your marijuana with,
Hmm.
and it had an Art Nouveau drawing on it from Muka for Job cigarettes, which is actually from the 20s. And so that's how I found Art Nouveau. And today I'm still drawing it and trying to figure out how he did that.
That's beautiful. Wow. Love the detail.
The funny thing about Art Nouveau is it was the era right after Victorian. And if you think about Victorian, everybody dressed in mourning.
Right.
And then you hit Art Nouveau, and it's as if all those heavy clothes and mourning are just falling away. And let's look at how beautiful life can be. And it's amazing how society will swing 180 to 180 to 180 to 180 to 180.
Right.
Right? Like today, everything we think today is cool, in 20 years, people are going to laugh at. they're going to laugh at our AI and our social media and our
Right.
bands and all that, just like in art.
Yeah, I mean, we look back at the '80s, and even though we love it, we laugh at the pumps and the, you
Shoulder
know,
pads and the big
yeah,
hair.
yeah,
Uh-huh. There's a chapter on inking, how I do it, what tools I use. Um, and I hadn't really covered that before, so I really got into it this time. There's always a question about the tools on that.
absolutely.
So
It's important to have the right tools.
I have a very in-depth chapter on tools, tips, and templates about the measurements, how to make comic pages, and um, how to get them so that they scan level, so that when you get them into Photoshop or whatever, you're not having to adjust level. Everything is perfectly square right from the scan. Little tricks like that that'll save you a lot of time and grief. Add-ons. That's a bookmark. Cachu Nouveau. A book plate, actually. And pens. There's actually, the Rachel Rising pen there is actually black and white, like an old Universal horror movie.
That's cool.
That's what the pen's going to look like. I just thought it was really cool. Like Frankenstein. And there's another pen, a lapel pen. It's going to be small, like 2 inches tall. And the Fear of Death story, the new Rachel Rising story that I'm doing, a one-off issue. And that's Mamale, the angel of death on the cover there, which is not a good sign. You don't want to be seeing her. If you
Yeah,
see
that
her,
date
that's a
won't go
bad
well.
day.
That won't be a good date.
Oh. Oh, and we still have copies of the big coffee table book. That thing is about 12 feet tall by 8 feet wide. Weighs as much as a Volvo. Should come with a set of wheels and a handle. But it is really beautiful inside.
If you buy, let's see, 6, 7 of them, you can have a house. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, you could definitely buy 7 of them and then flip them on eBay the next day and have enough money to probably buy lunch at McDonald's.
No.
That didn't go where you thought it was going to go, did it?
Yeah, really. I think.
And for the first time, I'm selling prelims. Every time I do, a finished piece of art, it started on a piece of copy paper as a pencil sketch. And then I light box it up. So I'm selling these prelims now for, a fraction. I think that's probably $3 worth of art right there in that one picture.
It's funny that you say that though, because years ago, Billy was like tossing out these roughs that he was doing. And I go, Billy, what are you doing? He goes, what do you mean? I go, that's art. He goes, it's just roughs. I go, it's roughs to you. There are fans that can't afford your hundreds of dollars pieces that you could sell that to them at an affordable $50 or whatever, $40, and they get a nice piece from you. And maybe eventually they get you to tighten it up with inks in a future. That's art. Don't get rid of that. And he listened to me, and he was selling some roughs. So
yeah, he always is underestimating his worth.
he's a humble, down to earth dude.
Yes, he is.
He's what's up, bro. He's just easy going, and he's just, I don't know. He's the your pal down the block.
Yeah, he's definitely in the circle of trust.
Yeah. He's been good to me. Him and
Yes,
Debbie
me
have been
too.
wonderful to me.
We've been friends ever since we met at his first San Diego, I guess in 94, 95.
Yeah, he's got a lot of friends in the industry because he's just a down to earth. He is what you see is what you get kind of guy. And Debbie is, again, she's been really, really good to me too. So you see something bad about them, I'll fight you.
Oh yeah. Oh, you got a lot of people coming after you if you trash talk them.
Yeah. And then you got Trigger Warning, the
Trigger
story.
Warning. Yeah, Gunslinger Kachu. And the interesting story here, Phil, just like on the Rachel Rising one shot I'm doing, you can buy all the art. It's one of the things offered in the Kickstarter. So when I did Trigger Warning in the last Kickstarter, you could buy all 20 pages of art and the cover, and it all came together. It was like $10,000. And a guy in Florida bought it. And
Nice.
one of the perks was you got to be in the story because I hadn't drawn it yet. So his back shoulder right here that's the guy who bought the story,
Oh,
who bought
cool.
all the art. And he actually is on he's in the final scene, the last 3 or 4 pages where he confronts Kachu. And he and actually Jimmy Palmiotti as well, because they know each other. And so, yeah, you got to be in the comic. And he was wonderful about it. He looks like a character. He has a scruffy beard and everything. So he looked just like a guy would look back then.
That's awesome.
And they didn't actually fire a shot. And just spoilers, I didn't shoot my best customer.
Yeah, it's not usually a good idea, right?
Kachu let him live. So, yeah,
And then
and
there's
there's
the
3
soft
covers.
cover edition,
Yeah, soft cover there.
the hard
Hard
cover
cover
edition.
there. Yeah, that's supposed to be me
Hmm.
drawing the girls. And then the Kickstarter only special edition cover is the Art Nouveau one. The other 2 will end up in retail in about a year. The
Okay.
hardcover and the
I
soft
like
cover.
this cover a lot, actually.
Yeah. So, but the Art Nouveau one will just be in the Kickstarter only.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And of course, the color enamel pin.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Plato from the comic strips. There's that
Oh, there's
fairy I
Kixie.
was talking about. That's Kixie.
What kind of guy draws a fairy?
Yeah. I don't know.
Very cool.
Yeah, and Cowboy Kachu, Cowgirl Kachu, Little Big Pen.
And then you have your stretch goals.
Yeah.
Upgraded
And
paper has been.
we made it to upgraded paper. I don't know. It takes $25,000 to get a ribbon bookmark. My God, man. And I'll tell you something right now. I love the lay flat format so much. We are going to do that anyway.
Yeah.
I had it there as a goal, but I'm going to do it anyway, but just because it's so cool. And this is actually a textbook.
What is lay flat format?
Well, it has, instead of having a totally stiff binding on the edge of the book, the spine,
Yeah.
it has the kind where the pages will lay flat and not have a wave.
Oh, wow.
So you can lay it on the
Okay.
table and write on it and all that, and it's not going to. And I also made sure to make my margins an inch away from the spine middle so that nothing disappears into,
Right.
The book itself is designed very, very friendly for anybody who wants to put it on a kitchen table and start drawing from it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And you are, I think, what, 14,000 away, something like that? 60. All right, so 15,200 and was that $84 away?
Okay. Boy, you're good at math. You
I'm
should
really
start a
not.
business.
Yeah.
Something involving inventory and numbers.
Yeah, really. That's awesome. Should I play the video for everybody?
Oh, okay. It's a 3-minute video, and I'm explaining what's in the book. And I was sober when I did it, so it makes more sense than tonight.
Let me pull this off for 1 second because I might have to check the audio on this. So hang on. Share because I might not have turned on the audio. There we go. Okay. Let's play it.
Good luck. Hey, thanks for checking out the Kickstarter. So How to Draw 2026, that's going to be an expanded edition of my How to Draw book that has long been out of print. I've added chapters. I have a new chapter on inking, a new chapter on Art Nouveau. I've gone through and updated the text. I've added new art throughout. It's just a totally new edition, revamped, expanded, new and improved, ready for 2026 and the future beyond. So if you look in the rewards, you'll notice that we have some really cool things waiting for you down there. One of them is, of course, offering the original art for the covers. The How to Draw will have 3 covers: a soft cover, this is the original art, and a hard cover, this is the original art that is available. and a special edition hardcover that is available only through the Kickstarter. And here is the original art for that. All of these are available in the rewards down there. Another thing I'm really excited about doing here is a one-shot Rachel Rising story. I did this in the last Kickstarter with Strangers in Paradise. It was a 20-page story and a 32-page comic, and it was just a lot of fun. And everybody seemed to enjoy it. I want to do it again with Rachel Rising for this Kickstarter. So I've already drawn the cover, and there it is. That's Mamale, the figure of death in the story. The story comic is called Fear of Death. She's pretty scary to me. I'm afraid of her. So, and the great thing about this that I think is so cool, we're offering all 20 pages of the story as a reward. Back that reward, you will get the cover art and all 20 pages of the story art collected all together. You'll have the entire thing. And here is what typical Rachel Rising story art looks like. It's on 11 by 17 pen and ink. And this is from Rachel Rising comic book number 33, but this is how I work. This is what it will look like. Another thing we're offering is prelims. Before I do a pen and ink drawing, I'll always start with a sketch on 8.5 by 10 copy paper. And I have now quite a little collection of these. This is what prelims look like for me. And you can find them listed in the add-ons below. Take a look. I'm very excited about this, and I'm glad you're checking it out. I really want this book back on my shelf, and I hope it'll end up on your shelf too. So check it out.
Cool.
When I shot that, I had only had my braces on for a week. I could barely talk.
Yeah. Where are we here? There we go.
I have these braces now.
They're clear. That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even notice your brace. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I got these Invisaligns here. Because I kept doing Zoom calls, Zoom things and panels with people like you that have these big, beautiful smiles. And I have teeth like a Kentucky moonshiner. And I thought, well, I got to get my teeth fixed.
I'm lucky I still have my teeth. My wife, every time I say something stupid.
Yeah.
Well, my wife says I'm a few stupid things away from getting my teeth knocked out. So
maybe that's what happened to mine.
Yeah. Well, I want everybody to check this out. I will drop the link in the chat after we get over, because if I put it in the chat right now, it only goes to my YouTube page. It doesn't go on the Facebook page. I don't know why. So unless you want to drop it in the chat, it might actually go to everybody. We don't just need to support independents. We don't just need to support artists. We need to support bringing readership back to comics. And you all know who Terry is. You know his resume. He's an Eisner Award winner. The guy has done, everything under the sun that most of us dream to do. So go back that campaign, get to that 100,000 to get that bookmark, and go to your retailers and tell them to pick up all those wonderful books that he has. I mean, he's got everything from sci-fi to crime, drama, romance, to, I don't know what you'd call it, but with the, Motor Girl, it's got a lot of different things, aliens and PTSD and invisible friends and but just a human relatable story, I guess you could say, with aliens. So there's a lot to choose from depending on what your favorite genre is. But if you know Terry's work, you're going to love it. So please go to your retailers. Tell them to go through Philbo distribution, pick up the books. If we want to continue to see the things we love, we can't just say, hey, that's great. We have to support. I'm sorry to say, we have to buy them. We have to financially support these books. Terry may be drawing the book, but while he's drawing, he's obviously not earning his salary. He's drawing. He's sitting at a desk drawing 8 to 12 hours a day to bring this book out there that, his mortgage is not waiting on. So please support independents, whether they're big independents or small independents. Support good stories, great art, wonderful books. We need you. You are the fans. You have the power. You are what drives the industry. It is not the gimmicks. It is not the foil covers. It is not even the Rob Liefelds of the world. It's you. You make the Rob Liefelds exist. You make Terry Moore exist. You make them who they are because you are the ones supporting the work. So please um, help the rising tide that raises all ships.
Well
Anyway,
said. Well said.
it was really great having you on. Thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to the future as we grow. I really want to be able to give you some great numbers. And I just
That'd be
want to
great.
see your books out there. I want to see good stories flooding the market again, you know?
Yeah, and if there's an outlet, creative people show up. And if it shuts down, they wander off and go do something else.
Right.
So yeah, you're so important. You are so important, and uh, you're talking to the people directly. And of course, without the people, none of this would exist. So yeah, this is important stuff you're doing. Thank you.
Well, I think it's all of us. I mean, like I said, we're all playing our part, and
Yeah.
that's what's important. And uh, I grew up. Before we go, I grew up in a neighborhood where I had the old Italian couple next door passing meatballs over the
Mhm.
fence, and I was going to the store and shoveling their walk for them. And my neighbors across the street was sitting out on their porch every summer night saying hello, how are you? And we were looking out for each other. And it's that old saying, it takes a village to raise a child. We had community back then. Social media and everything, we may be able to reach all over the world, but we're not community anymore. It's very competitive, it's cutthroat, it's isolated, it's you versus me. And that's not how this industry is going to thrive. If we all work together, we all build each other up, we all support each other as best as we can, whether it's likes or shares, or it's a dollar contribution to a campaign, or whatever, or just spreading the word. Um, we do this together or we fall together. And the industry is too important, and it's hitting its hard times. But if we all step up, we can get through this, and we can thrive even better, and we can get back to the time where comics were really booming. And I feel that will happen. I look forward to it, and hopefully I'm part of that solution. Um, but either way, it's a fun ride. I get to talk with people like you, and meet people like you, and work with you, and Billy, and Kevin, and Will Spatasi, and all these amazing people. So it's kind of a dream come true for me. Um, so anyway, Abstract Studios, Terry Moore, Strangers in Paradise, Rachel Rising, Echo, Motor Girl. Um, so much to choose from. Please go check out the catalog on our website, www.philbodistribution.com. Tell your stores you want it, and go to that Kickstarter, Terry Moore's How to Draw 2026. It's got a lot of great tutorial stuff in there. And there's a lot of great art. Even if you're not an artist, you might want to go on there just to get some of the beautiful art. So there's something for everybody.
Thank you, Phil.
Right. So I'm going to leave us with how I always leave us. Be legendary and have fun storming the castle.